What's going on, everybody? It's Ryan Turley here. Today, we're smoking a Texas Style Brisket. You're not gonna wanna miss this one. We're gonna jump right into this trim. So I picked up this prime grade brisket from Costco. It's about 13 pounds untrimmed, and I like to freeze my briskets for about 1 hour before trimming. It makes that fat so much easier to trim and work with. Right here, I'm just examining the whole brisket and really just making a plan of attack for what I'm gonna do here and trying to isolate any of that hard fat. I pat the brisket dry, and then we are gonna start out on the fat cap or the top side. As a general rule of thumb, you're gonna wanna leave a 1/4 inch of fat on this fat cap. Some people like to trim more or take the fat off entirely on the point, but I am gonna leave about a 1/4 inch on this entire top side. So as you can see, I'm just working my way section by section and taking off little bit by little bit until I see that meat, just so I know how much more I need to go. And that's about it for the top side. And now for the overall shape. So I'm taking off a big section of fat on this side, and then I'm taking away all of this thin meat here because that's just gonna burn up in the cook. And overall, you're really just trying to balance out this piece of meat and make it as aerodynamic as possible. Go ahead and remove any silver skin from the meat side. Now we're gonna focus on the decal. The decal is the section of fat in between the point and the flat. And right here, I'm making a notch against the grain at the base of the flat, just to make sure that when this is fully cooked, I know exactly where I want to slice to go against the grain on the flat. And then your point is gonna switch grain directions, just like I show here. And that's about it. Now I trimmed this super late, so I wrapped it up, threw it in the fridge, so it would be ready for the morning. And I feel like I was pretty conservative in this trim, and I still took off 4 pounds of fat. I'd consider this a perfect backyard trim.
The next day.
So it's the next morning, and we are ready to season this and put it on the pit. It's about 6 a.m. right now, and I'm still waking up, so let's get this on. So for our rub today, we are gonna be using Kosher salt and Coarse black pepper. I'm gonna throw this down about a foot or two above the meat just to get a nice even coat. This side's looking good. I'm gonna give this a flip. I am gonna be smoking this fat side up today, so this is gonna be my finishing side, so I am gonna season this last. All right, let's fire up the pit. All right, let's get this Traeger fired up here. Just gonna turn this on. Going to set this to 225. Going to ignite. And we're gonna turn on super smoke. We have that about 20 minutes to even out in temps and let that seasoning work into the brisket. Here are all of our brisket trimmings. We've got the brisket on the smoker now, so I'm just gonna pull out a few pieces of fat, chop them up, add them to a cast iron skillet, and throw it on the smoker. We're gonna render this down for some beef tallow. And after you see what I have planned for it with this cook, you're gonna wanna try it. All right, we're coming up on the 8-hour mark on this smoke. Let's see how things are looking. I have been spritzing it every 60 to 90 minutes with this apple cider water mixture, 50-50 blend. Bark's coming along real nice. I don't think it's to the point of where I want to wrap it just yet. I want this fat to render just a little bit more. So after a few hours, I pulled off the beef tallow, brought it inside and strained it out, and well, now this is liquid gold, AKA Texas butter. If you haven't checked out my beef ribs video yet, I'm gonna post the link to it above. And I threw some beef tallow onto those ribs about halfway through the smoke and during the wrap, and they came out unbelievable, incredibly juicy. And I'm gonna do something similar with this brisket today. All right, the brisket has been on for about 10 hours. and it's at about 170 to 175 degrees internal. And we are gonna wrap this into a foil boat. It's looking absolutely amazing. So now I've got my beef tallow here. We're just gonna put a generous amount of beef tallow on top, and this is gonna work its way down to the bottom of this boat and keep our flat nice and tender. And this is our brisket boat. So I saw Chud from Chud's Barbecue do this a while back, and I had to try it. I did this on another brisket that I did not film, and it turned out incredible. So I had to share this with all of you. I'd love to hear if you all have tried something like this. We're gonna leave this open-faced for the remainder of the cook and get it up to that 200 to 203 degrees internal. The brisket has been on for almost 14 hours, and after the trim, I think this ended up being just over 9 pounds, almost 10 pounds. So this was almost about an hour and a half per pound at 225 degrees. So this is probing like butter. Look at that, that is just sliding in and out without any resistance. As far as the temperature goes, we're shooting for 200 to 203 degrees. When I pulled this off, it was temping at 203 degrees. It has since cooled down because I have been letting it rest for about 10 minutes. And so I'm gonna let this come down in temp to about 180 to 170 degrees. And then I'm actually gonna pop this in the oven overnight and give it about a 10 to 12 hour rest. Yes, 10 to 12 hour rest at 170 degrees, the lowest my oven will go. That's why I wanna cool this brisket down just a little bit before I pop it in the oven so it doesn't continue to cook. I'm gonna leave it in the oven just like this. I'm not gonna wrap it. I'm gonna leave it open-faced just like this. Good morning. So again, this brisket has been resting in my oven overnight. It's been about 10 hours at about 170 degrees. It's feeling incredible. Just look at that. It has been out of the oven for about 10 or 15 minutes, so I think it's ready to slice. Let's see how we did. We're just gonna make that beautiful cross section right down the middle here. Beautiful smoke ring. Fat through here is fully rendered. Nice thin slices here. Holding up to its own weight. Beautiful bend. And of course, shreds like butter. I'm gonna give it a taste test. That bark is incredible. This is the best bark I've ever put on a brisket. The entire brisket is still so juicy. Oh wow. All right, let's take a look at this point here. You're gonna wanna make thicker slices on the point because it is fattier. Yo, oh my goodness. I don't even have to squeeze this. All right, that's it. This was incredible. This was one of the funnest smokes I've ever had. It was about a 36-hour process from the trim on Friday night, smoking it all day Saturday, and letting it rest last night. It's Sunday now, and we are gonna feast on this all day long. Again, if you haven't already, be sure to like this video and drop me a comment. It really does help me out more than you know. And of course, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss another upload. I post videos every week, usually about smoking meats, but I do mix it up sometimes too. So anyways, I look forward to catching y'all next week. Thanks so much, peace.